Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is October 12th. Happy 62nd anniversary of the Columbus Day storm to everybody who celebrates out there. Probably the strongest mid-latitude cyclone to ever strike the lower 48 states. But we've got our own system out here across the Gulf of Alaska. This is nothing like the Columbus Day storm as far as the West Coast is concerned. But this storm is bringing very cold air and some precipitation across the Aleutian Islands. You're talking Cold Bay, Kodiak, Alaska, Anchorage, Cordova, Yakutat, Juneau, Ketchikan, down the west coast to BC, Vancouver Island, and eventually going to bring a frontal system down across Washington and Oregon. So you see the scope of this storm out there. And it's also going to help spawn a strong frontal system as we go through next week for the Pacific Northwest. We're going to dive into those details. We'll take a look at the extended forecast. As always, as we go through the video this morning, taking a look here, this is a nighttime microphysics. You can actually see the low clouds across some of the I-5 corridor up into western Washington. So if you look outside this morning, and you do see some fog, that is the reason why. But you can see there are some clear areas. You can also see the storm that's burrowing into southern Oregon and northern California on this satellite imagery as well. Let's take a look at SeaTac yesterday, 58 degrees. That's 4 degrees below average. And by the time we get to the end of the month, we're about 56 degrees on Halloween. No precipitation yesterday, but that is definitely going to change here because we are going to bring some active weather back into the Pacific Northwest. And you can see that highlighted here, Spokane National Weather Service. This is a yesterday evening. And check it out. Here we go. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, frontal system starts to arrive, and you can see the downward trend in these temperatures and precipitation. Some gusty winds are going to be moving into the area. We're going to go over that in some detail in a moment. You can also see that Saturday, Sunday, Monday for eastern Oregon, not bad viewing out there if you want to go out there and try to take a peek at the comet. But then you see the clouds start to arrive as we go through Tuesday and Wednesday as we got some frontal systems rolling on in here and some gusty winds. Now, I've selected this station way up towards Yakutat, Alaska, just for the heck of it, because it is raining out there with that storm system we saw on the mid-level water vapor loop. You can see southeast Alaska, you move down towards Vancouver Island on the bottom of the page there. But if I go ahead and look, you can see the precipitation right now actually bumped up to heavy rainfall as we speak. You can see the wind updating every few seconds, some low pressure out there, and you can see it stores all this data for you in the cloud. If you click on any one of these individual parameters here, you can see it's been raining for some time now. It goes all the way back to 4 a.m. there, and you can build this graphing for yourself as you like. If you want one of these weather stations, click on that link down below to save 10%. Now, taking a wider view of things here, this is the Gulf of Alaska. There is that storm system and the frontal system, again, all the way across the Aleutians to the south coast of Alaska. And if we put this into motion, you can see this frontal system will be impacting British Columbia here as we go on in through tomorrow especially. And then we bring this frontal system. It's degrading by the time it gets towards western Washington and western Oregon. But what we're watching here is in the periphery of that deep trough here across the Gulf of Alaska, another storm system. This one might pack a bit of a punch here. As you can see, this is developing and deepening as it approaches Vancouver Island. This is likely to bring a strong, gusty frontal system, some nice precipitation amounts, some very cold air behind this system is possible as well for some mountain snow, some convergent zone activity, some gusty winds, some waves will be coming in with this one also. And then we scroll out towards next week and you see maybe additional systems in store for us out over the Pacific Ocean. And that is classic signature here for Pacific North American positive oscillation. The reverse would be negative here. So we may be going through this pattern change as we go into the second half of October. And you can see that here clearly in the positive with the Gulf of Alaska trough just absolutely raging. But the pattern change is potentially coming here. Show you more on that here in a moment. Now taking a look at the European artificial intelligence on the left versus the GFS on the right. This was last night's run. There is the storm system right off the Oregon-California border. It is weakening as it moves in, and our ridging is going to give way to our initial frontal system and then a stronger system as we go on in through the day. Wednesday, you can see both models in agreement with a strong frontal system driving through the area, bringing its gusty winds and much cooler air mass with it. And as we scroll off in towards next weekend, then we've got some interesting stuff starting to unfold. You can see how the European artificial intelligence wants to drive this northerly flow back down in here, much colder air mass setting up over Canada and portions of the lower 48. The GFS wants to keep that jet stream a little bit further out over the water and develops another mid-latitude cyclone right off our coastline here. So we got some model disagreement as we look beyond 200 hours out, which is to be expected. So that's just something we're going to be watching as our active weather is likely to continue. Now, taking a look at 500 millibars, I do want to just kind of show you here the jet stream at 18,000 feet. So here goes our strong frontal system on the day Thursday. Good model agreement with that. And then as we go through the extended forecast, you can kind of see that flow turn northerly here and try to bring some cooler air down into the lower 48 and across portions of Canada. And again, on the GFS, keeping that jet stream further out. And you can see the development of that mid-latitude cyclone right off of Vancouver Island there. And you can see on the European, there's another hurricane approaching Yucatan Peninsula there and the Gulf of Mexico, as if they haven't had enough to deal with down there across Florida. Now, taking a look at the 2-meter temperature anomaly, here we go for this afternoon. GFS, European, good model agreement. And you can see that storm system across some of southern Oregon, keeping things a little bit below normal. But then we go on into Sunday. One more nice day, fairly warm too across the region. Get out there and enjoy this weather, because by the time we get towards Monday, you can see things are starting to change. And then we go towards Tuesday afternoon. And by the time we get towards Wednesday, you can clearly see the frontal system ripping through the area and much cooler temperatures behind that system. This is at the surface here too. So this is not looking aloft, and you can see good model agreement between the GFS on the right and the European on the left. And these are ensemble means. These are not cherry-picked models or anything of the nature. You can see very cold air moving in behind that. That goes out to about Thursday night. Now, taking a look at 925 millibars, this is the winds just off the surface. So doing pretty good in the meantime through Sunday. Weak frontal system moves through some point in the day on Monday, and then we watch for the stronger system. You can see this developing here towards on the European last night at 984 millibar low. This pack a little bit of a punch here. Pretty typical blustery fall system for much of Washington, Oregon, British Columbia. Lesser effects the further south you go, of course, but this could bring quite a little punch of some wind, and then a strong westerly surge behind that as well. We'll be moving across eastern Washington and Oregon as that system kind of moves across the area. And if we take a look at the wind speeds here as we go on into that storm system on Wednesday, check it out. There's a few ensemble members that have 50 mile per hour gusts for CTEC. The control is a much more conservative 37 miles per hour, and there are some 40 plus mile per hour gusts out there. That can be a bit of an issue early in the season with leaves still on the trees and whatnot. Could have some scattered power outages associated with that frontal system. Here goes Portland. You can see lesser speeds. The control only has 27. You know, just a little bit of a blustery frontal system. And again, weaker the further you go south, but there are some solutions that have a little bit higher gusts there up into the 30s. And then you can see Astoria. It looks like the control says 35 with an outside chance of maybe a 40 mile per hour gust. Not a huge windstorm, you guys, but again, you're going to notice this system rolling in. And if we go up towards Hoquiam, check it out, 37 on the control. But you can see there are a handful of higher gusts in some of these ensemble members, so we will watch out for that. And we'll revisit this again tomorrow. If you really want a fantasy windstorm hunt, you can see ensemble member number 9, 70 miles per hour there. You take that with a grain of salt, and you can kind of just throw out the more extreme values here. But there are a couple interesting gusts showing up. Quileute Airport, a little bit further north, you can see the control run up over 40 miles per hour and some higher gusts mixed in. Look at Whidbey Island, though. 48 there on the control run, not the ensemble, but then you can see some higher gusts possibly in there as well. And you could get kind of a 1-2 punch across some regions with the southeast wind and then a westerly surge also. So we got to keep that in mind. Bellingham talks about 42 miles per hour. So this could get some people's attention here. And, you know, you don't want to be hanging out in parks at this time of year here because there's a lot of dead branches and whatnot, and those snags above and, you know, they can kill people and injure people very badly. So you got to remember that. I have a park nearby my house here. Parks are usually not, taken care of, and there's not people in there trimming trees and whatnot. And every time there's even a bit of wind when we go through these fall systems, you can see big branches that have fallen that you wouldn't want coming down on you. And it happens, every few years we get people that die in parks from our windstorms, and they don't have to be that strong to really do some of this damage. The trees are the force multiplier, no doubt. Now, taking a look here, this is truly a fantasy outlook here. So I want to go off into the extended a little bit here, but you'll see the big Gulf of Alaska trough in our first frontal system, then a strong frontal system as we go through Wednesday. And then you can see how that northerly jet stream here wants to drive some cooler air down across Canada. Once we start off about 198 hours out, you can see that very cold air there on the backside of the Rockies, and it wants to push a little bit of this Arctic air down into British Columbia here as well. We'll watch that to see if there's anything to it, because the other models are not showing so much of that Arctic air right now. I just want to kind of show you this here in case you see anything like this on the social media sites right now. You just kind of take that with a grain of salt. It's something fun to look at. It's just a pure fantasy forecast as of right now. You should not be expecting Arctic air across the region just yet, but it's something that I do watch, so we're going to keep that in the back of our mind for now. And taking a look at National Planet Models daily max 2-meter temperatures. This is for today. Check it out. Some 70s out there, some mid and upper 70s maybe for the Willamette Valley. Nice and warm east of the mountains also. And then we go on into tomorrow. Look at this. One more pretty warm day, and this may be the last of the fairly warm days as we go on into the fall months. It can happen, but it's becoming an exceedingly rare at this time of year. And then Monday, we start to cool things down. Then Tuesday, look, by the time we get towards Wednesday, as that frontal system is in here, you can clearly see the cool down across the region. Then look at the higher terrain, maximum 2-meter temperature as we go through Thursday. It could be some snow across the higher terrain. We'll look at that in some more detail as we go through the upcoming days and get a little bit closer to some of the high resolution models before we start trying to pin down amounts. But there could be some snow even on the higher passes. And also, I was out here last night trying to view the comet, and it was tough to see last night, but again, it's going to be getting a little bit further from the sun and a little bit higher in the sky, so you might get a better chance of viewing that tonight and tomorrow night, especially because we're going to have fewer amounts of clouds versus what's coming up this week. So the best viewing is likely to be obscured by some of the clouds here for western Washington, Oregon, British Columbia. So, you might want to get out there and take a peek tonight, but you can see it was tough yesterday. I got this little bit of it here, and you can kind of see the haze of the tail right there. But again, tomorrow, by the time it gets here, it should be darker because the comet is getting further away from the sun by our perspective. And if we take a look at this, I do want to show you as we go on in through tonight, about 7 p.m. here, you can see that we are dealing with not too many clouds here. So you might want to try to go out there and take a peek at that comet if you can. And then as we scroll through Sunday, you'll notice that there's not many clouds around either. These are low clouds off the coast here. Some high clouds moving through, but comet could be viewable Sunday night also. And then we scroll off into the future. By the time we get towards Monday, we're going to have that weak frontal system moving through, and it's going to ruin some of our viewing opportunities. And same thing with the European. I just want to kind of scroll out towards, for example, Monday afternoon and evening. You can see that we are going to be dealing with those clouds Monday night. We go on in through Tuesday night also. Plenty of clouds around in the strong frontal system on Wednesday. So there's always a chance you can catch a peek in between some of the clouds maybe as we go through the upcoming week, but it's not looking that great. 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook through October 21st. Above average signal across a lot of Washington and the Pacific Northwest. Below average 6 to 10 day, and you can kind of see the 8 to 14 day. We're not going to put too much stock in that just yet because things are going to be changing dramatically as we look at the model runs upcoming. But yeah, anyway, nice storm on the satellite imagery here. Strong frontal system rolling through on Wednesday. Gusty winds, a lot of precipitation. Mountain snows are possible, and we're going to dive into those details a little bit more tomorrow on that storm because it's no doubt going to be changing in intensity and just the exact track and who's going to get the strongest winds and the best precipitation amounts of that system. So anyway, hope you guys are having a good day out there. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.